Oh, there's nothing to be summarized about the I Amsterdam brand. But I think, in short, what it stands for is that what we've seen over the past 10 years when the I Amsterdam brand has developed at this point is that I think the success of what it is today lies very much in the fact that the I Amsterdam brand allows other people to create a travel story or any story for that matter. And I think that's largely in part of, or due to the actual letters that we have on Museum Square. I think that really helped people to connect to the brand and to make it something that's theirs. It's nice to see when you look at the brand itself, it's also meant to be something of all of us. And in that sense, the I Amsterdam brand stands for the fact that we're all part of Amsterdam, whether we are a resident, whether we are visiting, or whether we are a business. And I think that sort of whole inclusive idea of the brand really resonates well with everyone, and that's what sort of draws it in. And ultimately, and that's sort of nice that it happened together with this presentation, is that what we saw last week with the Go Green for Ireland campaign is that the I Amsterdam letters on Museum Square are now regarded as the most iconic structure of the city. So we're very happy and proud about that. Well, I think it's something that's those letters are being shared so easily and so recognizable for a lot of people that I think now a lot of people want to actually go to those letters to take pictures. I think I don't think necessarily people will travel because of those letters, but I think it helps them sort of like the idea of going to Amsterdam. It's sort of it is some kind of a motivator. So in that sense, it helps us sort of to boost the image of the city. I think it's also due to the fact that Amsterdam as a city has a lot of monuments, but they're all rather small. So we don't have any really large iconic structures like the Eiffel Tower, like a lot of other European destinations have. They have big buildings. And for those who don't know it, I Amsterdam is built on poles because it used to be marshland. So very large buildings you won't be able to find here because construction was impossible. So it's interesting that all these things come together and there's this tiny little I Amsterdam sign with the backdrop of one of the biggest buildings that we have. And it nicely sort of came together. It wasn't planned. And it all comes together in one nice little travel image. Place of name, a historic structure behind it, a European destination, it all fits.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I called them a grumpy bunch before, and granted, they are a bit of a grumpy bunch, but Amsterdam people. However, one of the things that we always get back in research, the two things, is one, Amsterdam, as any European destination, has a lot of culture, blah, blah, blah. But everyone likes the people here. They think they're very friendly, they're very open, they're very interested in people from different destinations and different cultures. I think also when you look at Dutch people in general, we're one of the most travel-savvy nations in the world. That's also because we're like this big. So like Alberta just mentioned, it's 16 hours high and 8 hours wide, or the other way around. After 2 hours of driving, you're out of the country. So we're very interested and very keen on international perspective. So that's why I think a lot of locals like to deal with international people. And the other thing is quality of life. I think that those are the two things that we always get back in research that people enjoy so much about Amsterdam and about the city. So the brand is very much about the people and the people that make up the brand. What I mentioned at the end of my presentation, or when I was talking to Aaron, you do see that the brand itself, I Amsterdam, is something that only now is being slowly adopted by locals. Businesses have adopted it before, or they've adopted it a few years back because they do see value in attracting international visitors. But locals were a little bit wary of it because it's I Amsterdam. Yes, it's about me, it's about us, but it seems to be a marketing trick, so we don't buy into it. So we're a little skeptical. But I think now, after 10 years, people are starting to become quite proud of the brand itself, because they see it all over the place and they see how a lot of people like it so much. So they're slowly warming up to us, but I think it does take a lot of push still and a lot of collaboration with them to see how we can really get them to interact and be strong advocates for the brand itself. I think any sign will probably work well in travel photography or any photography, because as I mentioned before, people like to take pictures, and a good photo op is, if you're able to create that, then people will like it and will interact with it. But as I also mentioned, I think it's critical that it's authentic. Also with the I Amsterdam sign, it didn't come from a place where we meant to create a typographic place branding sign. We didn't mean to make it a photo op. So I think it must come from somewhere that's really rooted in your destination. And if you then are able to place your city or your destination name across it, I think that works well. And I think you really need to have it set up in such a way that people can interact with it. Yes, it costs a little bit more money to make it sort of climb and push proof, but it's well worth the money, because you do see that people, I don't know, they crawl over it, under it, they do a lot of things with it. And I think that's what really ticks people and makes them want to come to the sign and take pictures of it. So a lot of pictures are also just about separate letters, because people don't always take the entire brand, and that's perfectly fine. It's just that people have a way to make it their own story. I think that's critical. I'm very proud to have SoMeT here in Amsterdam. I think it's a very wise decision of the organization to actually come here. Obviously, they've picked the best city in the world. I didn't want to say that in front of the audience. It's nice to have them here. I think what you also saw in my presentation is that when it comes to social media, Dutch people are very, very active. If you saw the little graph, the UK very active, in Holland people very active. So I think it is actually a very good place to be. What I like about the conference is that you hear so many different stories from DMOs, different types of DMOs, different sizes. You hear about city DMOs, regional DMOs, national DMOs, and I think that's very, very valuable. And it actually allows, besides the presentation, allows you, this conference, to really connect to fellow destination marketeers. And it's a very niche business, and I think we all have the same issues. And when I heard Nancy talk about their issues in explaining to her partner as like how to use social media and why they should use it, we have the same challenge, so to say, to do that. So I think there are a lot of topics that bond us, and this is an excellent way, this conference, to tackle it. And I fully enjoy the fact that it's not splattered around with commercial messages and opportunities, and so you really get to listen, and you get to hear the stories from the people who work in the field, not so much trying to sell anything in the field. And obviously we're at the start of the conference at this point, but last year in Rovaniemi, it struck me that everyone's very open and honest about what they're doing, what they're not doing right, what they are doing right, and how they feel other people could benefit from it. So I think it's a great conference, and I hope we'll continue to see that in the coming 2 days.